Jordan Bohannon's not the only one that can play 6 years at Iowa. News on Connor McCaffery's return breaking yesterday. My reaction today coming up in just a moment. A reminder first, though, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to sponsor the channel, reach out to me from the eye of the storm at outlook.com. That's from the eye of the storm at outlook.com. You can also message me through Twitter or Facebook. Appreciate the support of everybody, including those who are hopping on to sponsor the show. Also want to throw a shout out to our sponsor for this video, Josue Alvarez at Dewey Ford in Ankeny. Do he treat you better? He do. Dewey Ford in Ankeny. It's Josue Alvarez. Contact Josue for your used and new car purchasing needs. Contact Josue at 515-776-1068 for all of your used and new car purchasing needs. If you buy a car through Josue Alvarez and you mention that From the Hawkeye of the Storm sent you, you will get a $100 gift card for Casey's, a $100 gas card for Casey's. If you purchase a vehicle through Josue at Dewey Ford in Ankeny and mention From the Hawkeye of the Storm. So appreciate Josue jumping on to sponsor this show, this channel. Appreciate that support. And I do want to get to this news because it is significant. We knew it was coming and we had a good idea it was coming. Fran McCaffery kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier in the month. And it was reported on Twitter by an Iowa beat guy who had him on a radio station. And it was pretty much, it was a fair interview. It's not like Pat Hardy, and I'll just say his name because it was a fine question to ask. And Fran McCaffery basically let the cat out of the bag. Pat Hardy, of course, picked up on it, tweeted about it, and Connor kind of disputed it at the time, saying, no, that's not confirmed yet. So he kind of left some people in suspense. I think we all knew he was coming back, but it's official now. As Connor McCaffery announces on Twitter, he will be returning for a sixth and final year. What does that mean for Iowa basketball and its roster? Well, here's the deal. You've got 3 scholarships open, right? That's not including the 2 you have open that will be filled by Asante Bowen and Josh Dix, the 2 freshmen coming in next year. Of course, Asante, true point guard. Josh Dix, more of a 2, maybe a 3, recovering from a pretty severe leg injury during his senior year of high school hoops. But that begs the question now, what will Iowa do in the portal? Because basically the roster's set. Chris Murray's not going to the NBA. He'll be back. So if he's coming back, you've got Connor coming back. What do you need from the portal? Fran McCaffery was asked about this yesterday at the team's banquet, and he basically said they're after a center right now. No word if they're after anybody else or if he plans on going after anybody else. And I had somebody on Twitter bring that up to me that, look, Fran has said he's not going after a guard. He hasn't said that. He hasn't said he's not. I think that's the key right now. If the right guy comes along, and I've been saying this for months, that I think Iowa could use another shooter. If the right guy comes along, you're going to look at him. And if he's wanting to come here, you're going to take him. Because right now, Iowa doesn't have a lot of three-point shooting at that 2 spot. You got Tony Perkins, who improved his three-point shot. Is Josh Dix going to be healthy? Peyton Sandfort, is he more of a 2? I think he's more of a 3. Although you got Patrick and Chris who are going to be, probably moving between the 3 and the 4. It's going to be an interesting battle, but I think they need more backcourt shooting. Aaron Eulis, not a great three-point shooter as of yet. You lose Joe Toussaint. I know he wasn't a great three-point shooter, but it is depth in the backcourt. Again, I think if the right guy comes along, you consider a backcourt ad in the transfer portal. Nigel Pack was a guy that people were talking about, the transfer from Kansas State. He's not committed anywhere yet, but no word that Iowa was remotely interested in him. I do know that Tony Perkins knows Nigel from their days back in Indianapolis. But he's more of a point that shoots. He's 6 foot maybe and shoots the 3 ball really well. He's going to have a pretty good opportunity, I think, to play at the next level. But if you can find that ideal 2 that can kind of spell Tony some minutes, and if Tony's just not playing great, a guy who can come off the bench and provide you a spark with 3-point shooting. I do think they'll have a lot of 3-point shooting with Peyton Sandfort. I don't want to take anything away from him. My biggest question right now is, will Josh Dix be healthy enough to fill a role next year? And I think that's a big question. So I wouldn't read too much into Fran saying that they're after a big exclusively right now. We know that they're in on Fardaws Aimaq. There have been some other rumored forwards that Iowa has contacted. We know they contacted, according to John Rothstein, Iowa had contacted Rob Finney, who's now committed to Cincinnati. Jaden Dallaire, no word on him out of Stanford. He's a 6'9" forward. transfer. He's in the portal right now, also entered his name in the NBA draft. There's a kid from Trey Mitchell from Texas that is a former UMass standout. So they're in on some guys right now. And yes, most of those guys are forwards. The only guard that I know that they've contacted was Rob Finney, and he's, of course, off the market now. So there's still time. There will be some guys that enter as we continue into this spring and summer. And you're not going to pull the trigger unless you need to. I think it's clear. I'll agree with Fran on this. It's clear Iowa is in a bigger need for a big man. And Connor McCaffery coming back when it's obvious that Iowa is prioritizing getting a talented big man out of the portal, it helps you because we know how big of a factor Connor McCaffery was with the play of Luka Garza and his ability to feed the post. We didn't see that skill set shown off as much this year because Iowa didn't have a big man. Philip Rebraca, I think, is more of a 4. He can play the 5. He'll get some 5 next year, time with the 5. But I think if they can get a Fardaws Aimaq, which I know some people don't believe will happen, or if you can get a guy like Trey Mitchell out of Texas who's kind of undersized as a center, but he is 6'9", 6'10", is a big guy, and I think we'll fill that role at the 5. And maybe you look somewhere else, someone else comes along. Maybe Liam Robbins enters the portal. I know that's a name that has been brought up. I'm assuming he's returning to Vanderbilt with his uncle leaving, though, for the Citadel head coaching job. Maybe he leaves. Lots still to play out. We're just April 22nd as I record this video, but good news in Connor McCaffery coming back. And for anybody who thinks I'm not critical of Fran, I've had people say, you're not critical enough of Fran. You're not critical enough of his kids. First of all, I'm going to examine the kids and look at Connor and Patrick's play like any other player on this team. And I think Connor brings a lot. Yes, he's a glue guy. Everybody uses that term. His ability to feed the post. He's got good size at 6'5". And Fran's not exaggerating when he says Connor can guard every position. Now, do I want Connor guarding Kofi Coburn down low? Kofi Coburn, of course, going to the NBA, or Zach Edey? No, I don't, right? I don't want 6'5" guarding 7'4", but he does have the ability, has the knowledge. And again, he's not a small guy. He can play 1 through 5, and that's an advantage. And again, I do think with them going after a big man in the portal, Connor coming back will not only give them leadership experience, his three-point shot improved this past year, but it will hopefully highlight his ability to feed the post. And who knows, maybe he'll want to go play for a couple of years overseas professionally. I believe he can do that. Perhaps he'll transition to a coaching role with his dad or somewhere else. But the bottom line is, this is good news. I'm happy about this move. Don't give me this nepotism garbage. This is a good move. Connor McCaffery has been a big part of success here for the last 5 years, and I'm looking forward to year number 6. So congratulations to Fran, to Connor, to Patrick, and the entire team. Iowa with 3 open scholarships as of April 22nd. They're in on several big guys. Will there be another? Will they leave those scholarships open for 23 and 24? I think if you get a grad transfer, you take it now, and that will still at least leave you that spot open for 2024. I don't know what the harm in that would be, but it's got to be the right fit. Fran's not going to just pull the trigger on anybody. So we'll wait and see what the transfer portal has in store. More guys entering on a daily basis. Appreciate you being here as I share the latest from around Hawkeye Nation.